Bullshit.
It's the No BS Marketing Show. I'm your host, Dave Mastovich. Our guest today is Mark Fallone of Phenomenon Post, one of the top creative minds in the Pittsburgh region who visually tells stories that are memorable. Mark, marketing's about clearly defining your target markets, finding out what they want through marketing intel, developing it if you don't already have it, giving it to them when and where they want it at a price they're willing to pay, and then telling them about it again and again. I lament the point that most people get hung up on that last part, the telling. With this being the broadcast right before the Super Bowl, I jokingly say multiple times that the Monday after the Super Bowl is a day that everybody knows marketing and tells you which commercials worked and which didn't. But really, marketing is starting with clearly defining those target audiences, doing the marketing intel to ask them what they want, develop and give it to them when and where they want it at a price they're willing to pay, which might mean changing the product based on what you learn through marketing intel. Then the telling about it can be the fun part. So based on that definition of marketing, think back to what's been your most amazing moment in your experience with marketing, messaging, or communications. What's your biggest marketing or messaging success?
Yeah. You're the guy. Did I hear you say on your show that you didn't like the word pivot?
I was making fun of it because it's now so used.
Yeah. Well, and I agreed with that. As you were giving that introduction, I was thinking about, was it Dave? Did I hear you talk about pivot and being able to change, as you said, a product or whatever? I'm gonna frame this in the context of corporate video production, and I have seen year after year. With a particular client who turns to us to do a kickoff video for a symposium. And I have seen numerous years with a lot of work and a little bit of luck, the opening video that we've done for this organization people have come back to me and said, it really set the tone for what we were trying to say. It was a scene setter. It gave us a sense of who we are. This is folks telling me, clients telling me, it gave a sense of who we are. And it said to everyone in attendance there, this is our brand and this is what we want you to know. And I've seen that, I've seen that for numerous years. It's not just a one-time thing, but it is birthed from, being educated by the client so you can get up and know their business. Secondly, being a student of their business and learning as much as you can. And then third, which doesn't happen a lot, having the time and consistency over X amount of years to get to know them and get to know what works, what doesn't work, what the C-level suite is predisposed to in terms of what they like and don't like. So all of those things, one success or a string of them with a client, all of that was rooted in the fact that you've gotten enough time with them and they've educated you and you were able to go do your homework, use the latest methods, technologies, research. But it wasn't just the phenomenon of, no pun intended, the phenomenon of having one great marketing success. Like you were talking earlier about, it didn't just happen, like if some piece of the machine was pulled out, it doesn't mean that all great happening is going to occur again. Right. And when you're lucky enough to have clients who see and recognize that and want to have a partner relationship and know that you're going to ebb and tide with their pains.
Yes.
Right. When they don't have money for the swimmer shot.
Yes.
And you're going to either eat that and do it because they need it and you want it, or if you don't, you're not going to have that client for very long, I think.
I agree. A couple of thoughts that I have to go down this path because one is what you just said. So many times, even when we work together, I would say CEO mentioned he wants it this way, but we all agree we need to at least show him that way. Because if we show him that way, he might, and it was he in those instances that I'm referencing, he might come around. So we as a team had to eat that time that all of us spent on that with the high risk that he's going to go, I told you X and you're showing me Y. Okay, so that's one thing. And then I guess the second is more just to have you walk through for our listeners when it's worked well, and you don't have to even tell the story of which one worked well, but just when it's worked well, how did you do what you do? Because it's an art and a science, what you do. It's mostly art, but there's still a science to it. You've been trained, there's angles and so forth. I just think that's so compelling of a story that most people never have heard.
Yeah.
They do their own little YouTube shot, and they touch something on their iPhone and go, that made it look better. And they don't realize that you go to the 90th degree of that for you to set up a shot. Like when we did the one shot of a bridge, there were certain angle you wanted to be at, and you had a truck driving you over and you're shooting and things like that.
Well, I think that there's a couple parts to that. And I would start this out with what I think is a question that we don't talk about enough as marketers, and that is the difference between talent and creativity, because I think they're two polar opposite things. Talents are those gifts and those abilities one has to make or create something or be something or move someone with those talents, and creativity is about problem solving. So I think I'll couch this answer, frame the answer in terms of creativity and my point of view that it's a problem solving exercise. It always starts with what's that client's problem? What do they need to do? Is it they need to get the CEO in front of the troops to talk about layoffs? Is it the CEO is going to herald fourth quarter numbers as best as ever, keep up the good work, and by the way, we're expanding? What is the problem that they have? And once you know that, whether it's this is the spot that's going to launch the campaign, it needs to make a big splash because we have a problem with a certain demographic not coming to us enough. Once you know the problem and you can frame it in that, then you can begin to figure out how to tackle it and make sure that we've talked about this a lot, Suzanne, only because you and I have seen each other more than I've seen Dave over the past couple of years, but straddling that fence between creative and fiscal responsibility to the budget and not making it about the art all the time, but making the art support the paper, if you will, the plan. So it always, for me, starts with what's that client's problem? Why have they come to me? Because they need a video in 3 days. They don't care what it's about, or they need a symposium kickoff video, or they need a spot just to address an X demographic that they have a new product that they think it's going to help that demographic. So it starts with what's the problem? And I always think about the strategy and also ask myself, are we one of the right tactics with video to make sure we're supporting that strategy? If that answers yes, then you move on to, okay, let me see all of your rationale, client side, about your problem and what you need to do with this media that we're going to generate and make for you. And then the last part of it is all the creative that comes into it after you've done your due diligence as the company who's going to be charged with going out to produce a piece of video or content. So those are kind of a short question list. And after you quickly get through those first couple questions with the help of the client, then you have a foundation and you can start thinking, okay, we'll show a dog eating an ice cream cone out of the hand of a 5-year-old, and the tagline will be X. We had my company had 2 days of meetings 2 weeks ago where we talked about our brand messaging and our unique selling point and our target audience. And one of the things that we came up with is that it's really the client's story, and as soon as you try to start making it your story in what you put on it, then the client loses their story. And, part of our unique selling point is, or our brand positioning is that we want to help you tell your story. Let's tell it together. And so I probably have been long-winded in answering that question, but there's some methodology involved with it.
I liked it. But to summarize, like one of the things I say a lot is, solving problems is the real reason we're all there, rather than creative for creative's sake.
Absolutely.
And a lot of our competitors are creative for creative's sake.
Because they have to do that. That's why people have come to them. We want outstanding creative that's going to be,
Suzanne's going to get the sushi. It's 500 degrees.
It's a little
I thought you were
warm.
doing a dance.
No, I thought maybe there was sushi outside the door there.
Now you get to pick a tool or tip you'd offer that will help our audience tell their story,
Yeah.
craft their message, or communicate to internal and external target audiences. It could be something like Google Trends to generate content ideas. It could be your favorite book, like Get Where You Want to Go,
Yeah.
your favorite blog, like Light Reading, or productivity resource, or a tip on how to approach their career, whatever you think might help our
all
listeners.
of those are good. They're all good. I happen to be a bit of a podcast junkie because mainly that came out of necessity because I have an hour and 10-minute drive in and out of the city every day. So I got tired of listening to North Huntington. So I got tired of listening to sports talk, and over the last 2 or 3 years, have become a podcast junkie. So I think you just have to. I always like to say you have, and I've beat this into my kids. You have to keep yourself in beta your whole life. Never reach alpha, because as long as you're in beta, you're in development, and you're a student of not only your craft but all the things that are important. Like I wanted to learn about the etymology of the phrase bullshit. So I studied a little bit online. I also found out that it's from an old French word, boulet, which meant fraud. So I think the idea of no bullshit marketing, you're onto something. I mean that. You're onto something in that somebody's got to start cutting through the noise that's out there. And they were trying to do this in the mid-19th century, but certainly didn't have podcasting.
They didn't have it.
So
You're so French.
you're very French. He looks a little French. Yes. Do you like Bordeaux wines? Yes, there you go. So anyways, my point is the tip is be a student. Learn everything you can about your clients, all that you can learn, all that they'll divulge. Learn everything about what the end use is of something that you're doing for them, because I think there's an opportunity for marketers today and production people to help clients be media makers, is what I'll call them. Every corporation, every brand today has to be a media maker, because all the channels and platforms are out there. That's where all the players are. They're on those channels and platforms, and they're telling their story. And to tell your story, you've got to be in the business of making media. You're your own studio. My U.S. Steel client, my Westinghouse clients, they have to be media makers today to get their story out and get it out in a manner that's useful and usable information for the people that they're interested in going to work for. So that's what I say. You have to be in beta, and you have to be a student of all things marketing and production.
Always be in beta.
Always be in beta.
That's Mark Fallone. Mark's producer-director at Phenomenon Post, a Pittsburgh-based video and post-production company that supports a variety of national and international clients, as you heard there, in the commercial, corporate, sports, and advertising industries. Now, it's time for you to keep calm, Mark, and hit the bullseye.
Okay.
I'll ask you to
Let's
choose
go to
between-
caller 4.
Caller 4.
Nancy in Turtle Creek.
Stan, Guy, love the show.
Love the show.
So you have to tell me which one you like
Yes.
more and why, but you only have a few seconds to choose and hit the bullseye.
Okay. Right. Is there a buzzer?
The no bullshit button. The no bullshit button's over in the conference
Stay
room.
calm button. Yes. Okay. Go ahead. Shoot.
Geico's gecko or the Aflac duck?
The Affleck duck.
Why?
Better story, better character. Always a story with the duck, whether he's in the gym doing yoga or out and about causing commotion. The gecko is very controlled and proper, and I just respond better as a consumer to the duck.
Lilyhammer or House of Cards?
Lillehammer.
Why?
I'm a big fan of Norway. I like cold weather, and the characters. I thought it was an ingenious plot, and it was an original.
Give the background.
It
for
was
those
an
who
original.
Haven't seen it.
Stevie, what's his name?
Steve Van Zandt.
Steve Van Zandt, the guitarist
And
in
Sopranos.
the Spring, and from the Sopranos, Silvio on the Sopranos, is a New York mobster who goes into witness protection, and our U.S. government sends him abroad to Lillehammer.
I'm sorry,
to
my
start a new
pronunciation
life.
might have been wrong there.
Lillehammer.
Because I'm French.
The 1984 Olympics were there. And yes, and the French won 3 medals.
The French pronounce it differently.
Yeah, they do. Lahama.
Yeah, that's it. That's what I was trying to say.
So Steve goes to Lillehammer, where he can't break his bad habits of being a gangster, and he sets up his own little underground black market gangster ring in Lillehammer, and all hell breaks loose in the quiet little. What is this? Quiet little. What's a European word for little village? Village? Can we say village? Can we say village? Okay. Does that take us into explicit from clean? Okay, go ahead.
Oh, it takes a village to run a podcast.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, Wendy's. We're going back in time. Wendy's, where's the beef, or Burger King, have it your way?
Wendy's, where's the beef? The classic Clara character. You can't. It's hard to beat.
Progressive's Flo or Jake from State Farm?
I go back and forth every time I listen to one of your shows, and I'm like, why would you say that? But why'd you pick that? I'm probably going to go with Flo because she's just, she really has, is that brand from all I can tell. I'm not a client or customer of theirs, but I love Flo. She's likable. She's fun. They do some really cool things with that character.
You're going to stay in your youth. The $6 million man or the most interesting man in the world?
Most interesting man in the world. Steve Austin never drank or held a beer like that. Nor did he have, European models on each arm. And what's the one that you dial people when they dial a wrong number or something that he's so compelled he gets people to change their number just so they I forget what the line is, but there's so many great one-liners that come out of
there's
that
some
campaign.
great one-liners on there.
Yeah, but he's great. I'd like to meet him, actually.
He's interesting.
Yeah, he's one of the most interesting guys.
He's the
most interesting guys.
Steve Austin, though, could run.
Can we get a check, please?
Steve Austin could run, man. His 40
that was all
his
CGI.
40 time was 1.7.
Yeah, well, that was CGI and sound effects, Dave. This is the real thing.
You're using terms we're going to have to put on the show notes.
Okay, sorry.
What's CGI? You got to tell them.
Computer-generated graphics, right?
What's the I stand for?
I don't know. Computer-generated, I don't know.
You've only used the term.
That's a great question. No, information? Imagery. Computer-generated imagery.
You kids out there.
If you're taking notes, stay in beta, kids. Don't leave school.
Stay in beta. Or you'll end up... Okay, all right.
The real question is, will you use that phrase ever again after this podcast?
I like that phrase.
All right, good.
I got 2 light readings I'm going to steal from him. I'm not going to air his podcast, so I can use 2 light readings that he said today.
You said you're not airing this podcast?
Check, please.
Check, please. Okay. All right. Next question.
So one of the other ones I have to rewind. I'm going to write a light reading on one of the things you said. Something about simplicity or something. I can't remember.
I wanted to have my attorney here with me, but you said no.
No.
So, okay. Because I like it when they whisper in your ear, you don't have to answer that.
That's kind of what we do sometimes when we're in a crisis situation as PR people.
You have to. Yeah.
So it's a Super Bowl theme here. So
I know that.
This episode's Sights and Sounds of Marketing will include Mark Fallone and I discussing Super Bowl halftime shows.
Oh boy.
Okay,
Hello.
so any guess if you get this? I don't know. I don't really have anything valuable to give you. I give you
talk to me.
Dinner at Eddie Merlot's, but they're a sponsor. Eddie Merlot's. Dinner at Eddie Merlot's. If you can get this,
I love Merlot. I'm making Merlot right now.
The first Super Bowl halftime show. Do you have any idea who was on the first Super Bowl halftime show? Listeners, if you can Google and call line 4.
You're talking about 50 years ago?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
There was an act?
Yes, it was pretty impressive too. It was the University of Arizona Marching Band.
Oh, really? Okay. I thought you were going to say it was those dancers in New York's Radio City Music Hall dancers.
Well, it progressed after the Arizona Marching Band. 5 of the first 20 Super Bowls, so 5 of the next 19 were. Now, you're going to remember this from when we were kids.
Yes.
Up with People.
Oh, my gosh. I remember that.
Up with People.
I tried out for them when I was in high school. I'm not kidding you.
No.
I didn't even get a rejection letter. I tried out to be a guitarist in a Western Pennsylvania group, Up with People, and I didn't even get a call back. Yeah, so for years I've held resentment. I appreciate you bringing that up now. Kind of put a nice end to my day.
They were on so often, and I'd be watching the Super Bowl with my dad.
Up with people. They used to throw funny things in the air while they were singing, lip syncing. They weren't even singing. They were lip syncing, and it was always off.
So you'd watch these sorry ass halftime things in my dad.
Talk about bullshit.
After they were on like the 5th time, this one's about Super Bowl 10. They were on a bunch of Steeler ones too. My dad goes, "Up with people, up my ass."
That might be why
That's
they're
Tyke
not in business
Mastovich's greatest father ever.
Oh, that's
He's
brilliant.
So
Up my
wonderful.
ass. I think in later years they changed their positioning line to "up my ass" and yours.
All right, so they finally started.
That's a great.
My dad's going to
Great
say, "You
childhood
give me
memory.
a shout out and make me look like Archie Bunker." My dad is not like that. My dad is actually a very compassionate guy. But when the
He's now gonna
Steelers are on, he turns into a different person.
And it was so American, Up with people. You know, they were dignitaries around the world. You know.
Finally, in Super Bowl 25, I'm all right. Finally, in Super Bowl 25, they started to go bigger, and they went with one of Suzanne's favorite groups.
How much bigger than you get?
Up with people. They went with one of Suzanne's favorite groups in Super Bowl 25, New Kids on the Block.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Are they the one that used to sing
I'm
that
sweating.
song? Used to go, "Tell me why." Who's that one you used to always sing?
Not me.
Dave, should I be concerned
Suzanne.
the thermostat says 113? I don't want to
so
say it's hot in
here's
here,
some
but
of
my
the-
water is boiling.
There is
in my
no water.
mug.
Like, I don't have any more water. That's why I'm coughing. So here's some of the top Super Bowl halftime performances. We're going to talk about them.
shit.
I put together another top 10 list. Just
Okay, thanks for that. Let's do it.
and you know, please don't debate my order because there's a couple I can barely remember, but I just
So it's
sort of
not in
remember.
order of importance. Or-
It is. It's number
Okay,
10. Number
all
10.
right.
Although this one here, I remember.
What's the list
This is the top 10
of what?
halftime performances.
Shows.
Halftime
Okay, performances.
since Super Bowl 25, when Suzanne's favorite band, New Kids on the Block.
Okay, well, that's going to be tough to beat.
Number 10 was Madonna in 2012. Do you
Who could
remember
who
anything
could
about
forget
that show?
that?
Do you remember anything about that show?
No.
She almost tripped.
Okay. Well,
Remember? Do you remember?
No.
Yeah, she was like,
No, I don't. No, but I
yeah, it
don't
was a
remember
little bit of a
that.
struggle.
Okay.
Then in 1993, Michael Jackson. Do you remember that one?
Kind of.
He did Beat It, Thriller, and had 3,500
Yeah.
kids singing around him at the end. The 3,500
Kids who didn't get into Up with People.
people. Okay. Yes. But there were 3,500 of them only because
Yeah, that's
I
a
read
lot
that
of
I read
kids.
that in the story.
I might have been in that group.
Yeah.
Yeah, now that you bring it up, yeah, I made that cut.
that cut.
Yeah.
Because he was kinder.
Yeah.
Michael Jackson
He's
was
the kid
kinder to
that's in
children.
beta.
He was kinder to young kids. In 2005 and 2006, this is the great thing about the Super Bowl, and this is some bullshit. You know, once they have one, they had to have the other. So in 2005, they had Paul McCartney. Then in 2006, they had to have the Rolling Stones.
Right. Okay.
And that was like
Okay, that's a good one.
47 years after
What
they
number
began.
are we on?
And so that's 10,
10.
9, 8, 7. Number 6.
Number six,
was
okay.
full of activity, a big contrast to the previous two. Beyonce in 2013.
Oh, geez, who could forget that? Go ahead.
She was incredible. Susanna, you
She's
being
coming
sarcastic.
back, isn't she? Isn't she in the new one? This one? Beyonce? I think it's Beyonce. I thought it was Beyonce.
It might be.
Okay.
In 2013, I think, no, wait, which one was the one? She was on earlier when she did her first one without Destiny's Child. That was even earlier. I should have put that one on the list. This was 2003. I screwed up the list. She was on once before when she came out and made her first appearance without Destiny's Child. And you know
Right.
what? Those other two from Destiny's Child, I don't know their names, but I thought they were going to be
They were
sorely
good.
missed.
think
but I can't
one of
remember who
them
they are.
Was in an unfortunate accident.
They weren't
The guy-
survivors.
No. Thanks again for okay.
Five, number
Number five.
because I didn't number them on this little list. Aerosmith, NSYNC, and
Oh, I
Britney in
remember that
2001.
one. That was my gosh. Talk about diversity in that.
That was
lineup.
diverse.
Yeah.
It was diverse.
Yeah.
And because I'm a huge Justin Timberlake fan, he comes in with the next one too.
Great.
Janet and Justin
Yeah.
Timberlake in 2004,
Obviously.
wardrobe
Yep.
malfunction.
Exposure.
In our podcast with Dave Sweet, we were talking
remember
about
that.
Super Bowl games and the one with the Patriots, and
I remember that.
the wardrobe
yeah.
malfunction became a phrase
Well, which
across
one
the country.
hasn't had the Patriots in it?
Yeah, exactly.
Really, of late.
In 2002, U2.
Okay.
Then number 2, because I was at this Super Bowl, was the Steelers' victory over Arizona in 43.
Oh, man. Lucky you.
Springsteen in 2009.
Yes. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm at the Super Bowl. Great, amazing seats. A couple funny stories. The Steelers' wives were in the same row as us, and Adam Sandler was 2 rows behind me and 10 people over. And I said, something's wrong with this picture that I have a better seat than Adam Sandler. He must have cheaped out because why couldn't he just buy the best seat in the house? So
wow.
That was super.
Okay.
Don't say wow. You're just being sarcastic.
No, I'm listening.
My personal number 1 by far and away.
Number 1.
Number 1. My personal number 1.
Okay, hit us with it.
2007.
Okay.
Prince.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Yeah. And who were the 2 girls that performed with him?
The 2 women from Destiny's Child they threw out.
Okay.
No, just kidding.
Who were they? Were they called? They had a name, didn't they? Prince and Rain or something. Purple Rain. No. That was the movie.
Apollonia 6.
Apollonia was one of the women. Apollonia was one of the sidekicks.
No, she wasn't in the movie.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. We'll have our research department.
Talk about some great cinematography there. The movie Purple Rain.
I love that film.
Great script.
Love that film.
Award-winning.
Timeless.
Award-winning.
Yeah.
Sarcastic.
No, I'm not being.
I like it, but
sarcastic.
I like the movie, but it's not like.
Yeah, we're in a no bullshit sequence of the show right now.
Are we?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to come back to in the first part of this episode. We asked Mark about bullshit in the workplace that he's seen. He's the first guest, and I will say, not only is he the first guest, he's the first human being to say that he has not seen bullshit in the workplace.
Yeah, but to be fair, Dave, there's some I can't talk about.
Integrity.
There's some that I can't. I mean, I've seen a lot of BS, but I can't talk about all that publicly.
You don't have to talk about where you worked. You can say, I walked into Starbucks and the lady threw my caramel macchiato at my head.
No, I haven't had anything like that. Can I email it into the show once I get home?
This is so bad. So bad.
Can I call in during the next show?
You basically. Now you're bullying. Who? I'm bullying. How am I bullying? You're being a good host, and you're trying to get an answer from somebody who's drawing a blank on. Okay.
You're talking about bullshit I have seen.
Yeah, like bad customer service, lousy leadership, poor communication.
Well, okay, I do have one. However, I'm under an affidavit not to say anything about it. So I do have one, and it's a good one, but I just can't talk about it. I'll tell you when she turns the microphones off, I will tell you. Okay? Because it's one for the ages.
This is Mark Fallone, a creative genius on the video side and storytelling side with Phenomenon Post. So, Mark, how can listeners contact you if they'd like to learn more about
we have
what you do?
We have a website, phenomenonpost.com, and I have an email, mark@phenomenonpost.com, and the toughest part of that is just spelling phenomenon.
I know. I struggled with just entering it here today.
But once you spell it, it feels good.
Hit it. Let's hit it. I'll correct you if you're wrong. Go ahead.
PHENOMEON.
No, ENON.
ENON.
We'll have it in the show notes. That
you have to write that and see it as you're pronouncing it.
Yes.
But Phenomenon Post, and it's been there since we've been in business since 2007. Thad Christian is our senior motion artist there and our leader of the pack, so to say. And we just try to have a good time and take care of clients. So
food and fellowship.
Food and fellowship, yes. Accepted food and fellowship.
And up with people. That's
our positioning line, actually. Up with producers, it's called.
And as your client, I say up
we tour up with producers.
Mark, I would say 85% of the show was not bullshit.
Well, there was
about 15% was bullshit.
There was a little bit in there. But I'm proud of the little bit that was in there, and I would defer again.
I don't understand. Why would you be proud of violating the trust of this show, reducing the limited integrity that I have?
Because we're growing from it. We are in beta. We're growing from it.
He pulls it back to his big idea. Always in beta.
And because all three of us are lovers of T.S. Eliot and his unpublished poem in triumph of bullshit.
Picture Alec Baldwin, Glengarry Glen Ross saying, always in beta.
Yeah, one of these days, seriously, I would love to see you get someone in here who is a bona fide bullshitter so you could find out what their art is all about, which would help all of us recognize it quicker, faster. And our bullshit warning red lights would blink and go off faster.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of it going on out there.
Thanks for being on the show, Mark.
We're done?
No, I'm going to do the close. Can I do the show close?
Go ahead and do the close.
You ready?
Maybe if you stretch this out, my California roll will get here. Take your time with it, because there's some commotion.
I'm going to do it like Steve
out
Austin.
In the hall.
Thanks.
Somebody just dropped a container of Tikkaman soy sauce on the carpet.
Thanks for joining us for the No Bullshit Marketing Podcast. Visit nobullshitmarketing.biz for show notes plus additional marketing and messaging resources. All kinds of show notes today will be impressive for you, always in beta. Are you signed up for light reading? You'll receive valuable strategies every other week to improve your marketing and transform your message. It really is light, intended to be read in 2 minutes or less, and it just might trigger bright ideas for you. To sign up, visit masssolutions.biz. Remember, ask yourself, what's the big idea, and build your story around the answer. It's all about both